When you need to build up your team to handle the growing chaos at work, use Indeed Sponsored Jobs. It gives your job post the boost it needs to be seen and helps reach people with the right skills, certifications, and more. Spend less time searching and more time actually interviewing candidates who check all your boxes. Listeners of this show will get a $75 sponsored job credit at Indeed.com/podcast. That's Indeed.com/podcast. Terms and conditions apply. Need a hiring hero? This is a job for Indeed Sponsored Jobs.
Hey there, welcome to Raising Me. I'm ADRIENNE STEIN, a mom of 3, and you're just trying to figure it all out too. Thank you so much for joining us. Today we're re-releasing this episode because, summer break. It is here, and so many of us parents are wondering how to keep kids learning and engaged, without turning the house into a classroom and the struggle that can really go along with that. So this conversation is about the summer slide or summer learning loss as it's known. And here's the good news. Helping kids stay engaged really doesn't have to mean worksheets and stress. It can be reading together, talking about what you see on a walk, cooking, counting, visiting a library. There's all kinds of ways to keep that curiosity alive. So in this episode, we are talking with Dr. Melinda Butler. She is awesome. She is the chair of the Department of Literacy, Language, and Culture at the University of Southern Maine and assistant professor of literacy education. We're talking about practical ways to help kids head back to school feeling confident and ready, because I hate to say it, but summer goes fast. So a big thank you to our sponsor of Sweetser Behavioral Health as always. And now let's get into it. Mindy, thank you so much for coming back. So grateful to have you here. I can't even believe we're already at the end of the school year thinking about the summer.
Absolutely. And thanks for the opportunity to return.
It goes so fast. So let's talk about summer learning loss, also known as the summer slide. There are actually other names.
Sure.
Summer slump. Regardless of what you're calling it, what does that mean? What is that?
Yeah, absolutely. So when students are in school during the school year, they have access to books every single day. Mm-hmm. In the summertime, many of the students, children and adolescents, do not have that access to books in their home. And a lot of students in the summertime don't read or don't write. Those are the students that experience this summer reading slump or summer reading gap. And that can accrue over time. That can accrue over summers as well. The best way or the best antidote or the way to narrow that gap really is for children and adolescents to read over the summer, to read for pleasure, to read for joy, to read and write as well.
And we'll get to some of those tips and the pro tips you've got on that. When it comes to the summer slide, how big of a problem is it really, especially when it, thinking in terms of coming back to the classroom? So, are there kids that are particularly at risk over others? And how big is this problem?
Absolutely. It is a huge problem. And students that don't have access to books over the summer, again, that gap will increase over time.
That would be a larger gap versus children who have access to more books. Because from what I understand, it can really happen to any and all kids. It's what is the size of the gap?
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. And there are researchers that suggest that in order to combat or to narrow that gap, K through 2, kindergarten through second grade, might read 12 to 15 books over the summer, more picture story books and smaller chapter books. And third grade through high school, more 4 to 5 chapter books, if you will.
Like longer
texts, right.
And then what about middle school, high school?
Same thing, 4 to 5, from 3 all the way through.
How quickly can a child fall behind? I mean, summer you think is, somewhere around 3 months, give or take, but how quickly can that sort of slide start to happen?
It can happen very quickly. I can remember assessing students when they come back, because we would look at their reading levels, at their reading acquisition when they left in the spring, and then they would return in the fall, and you could actually see those gaps with students that mostly didn't have access to texts at home, but it could happen to children who have access to text but just simply do not read over the summer.
As a parent, though, like how can I tell before we get to the school year where it's kind of like, oh boy, we're a little bit behind here. How can I tell if my child's starting to fall a little bit behind, maybe before we get to the fall?
I think that's kind of a difficult question to answer. I think that it would be situational. Every parent or every family would kind of know their child better. But I think also just encouraging that love of reading, providing children and adolescents, giving them the choice of what to read rather than work on worksheets over the summer, keep that joy of reading. But as far as knowing exactly where they are in their reading progress, I think that's kind of a tough question.
Yeah, it would be so individualistic.
Very individual.
It sounds like. So what are the things that teachers are looking for, though, when kids come back to class in the fall?
Oh, sure. So most children and adolescents, well, children especially, will be assessed when they come back in the fall to see where they are in their reading. And then teachers will use those strengths. We look at the strengths of their reading to drive their instruction. And then in parent conferences in the spring, teachers are providing parents all kinds of wonderful suggestions to keep the learning going over the summer.
It's a confidence builder too, right? Because performance in school often can be a confidence boost for kids.
Study and play come together on a Windows 11 PC. And for a limited time, college students get the best of both worlds. Get the Unreal College Deal. Everything you need to study and play with select Windows 11 PCs. Eligible students get a year of Microsoft 365 Premium and a year of Xbox Game Pass Ultimate with a custom color Xbox wireless controller. Learn more at windows.com/student offer. While supplies last. Ends June 30th. Terms at aka.ms/collegepc.
It's huge. If children especially don't feel like they're successful readers, that's got a lot to do with their self-efficacy. And it's a big piece. They need to feel successful. So we look at what can they do, and then what can we teach them next as teachers, looking at that student-driven instruction, individual instruction.
I mean, here's the reality. Parents are very busy.
Extremely.
And especially in the summer. I've got 3 kids all at different ages. And so the idea of like making sure I'm managing the continued education, we shouldn't all be, but like we're busy.
Yeah.
So let's talk about just some of those simple, easy things that parents can just really stay plugged in with when it comes to the summer.
Certainly. Well, students can first of all create a plan, make a list of books that they would like to read.
Okay.
Set some goals for themselves or set some goals with the family. They could also think about taking books on trips, taking books when you're running errands, like packing books for adults and for children, to think about that, or thinking about ebooks on trips and things like that. And every public library in the state has some sort of a summer reading program for children. Many have reading programs for adults and adolescents, so that's something also to think about.
Something to do with your kids.
Something to do with your kids, or that the kids can do by themselves. The Maine Department of Education has a great summer literacy page that provides information so that you can put in your child's interests and age, and then it'll provide a list of suggested books that they might be interested in.
Wait, what is that?
It's the Maine Department of Education.
That's awesome.
It's their summer literacy link that they have. They also have a Read to Ride program. They do it every summer, and children will read a certain number of books, and then they have an opportunity to win a bicycle.
And that goes to the goal setting too. So that's kind of fun. When you talked a little bit about that, that reminds me of the summer reading program in my community, where it's like a bingo card, and the kids always had fun like filling in those bingo cards, and then they win a prize at the end. So like doing that goal setting so it feels fun versus like, oh boy, here I go. I gotta get my 15 minutes in, and that kind of thing. We talked about this in the last time you were here, audio books. But let's just kind of drill down on that a little bit, because you're talking a lot about reading, and that's really key to avoiding some of the summer slide. How do audio books fit into that for kids who, may not love to sit with a book and flip the pages?
Well, thinking about road trips. I mean,
that's what I was thinking of in particular.
Yeah, driving across country. My daughter and I listen to all kinds of ebooks and then discuss them. But even on plane trips, things like that, car trips, listening with headphones.
Does that help? Do the audio books help in the same way or just a different way?
In a different way.
In a different way.
Again, reading with another sense.
Yeah.
If students are working on decoding and working on their ABCs, they're still listening to rich stories, right? And I think that's so important. One thing that we did years ago was a mother-daughter book club over the summer. And my daughter was in 5th grade. And it was all these moms and daughters. I mean, it wouldn't have to be just moms and daughters. It could be any family member. But one mom and daughter would choose a text, and then we read it over the summer months, and then we got together and discussed it. And I got to read Island of the Blue Dolphins by Scott Odell and The Devil's Arithmetic by Jane Yolen. They were choosing some pretty heavy books for us to read. And then we'd get together and discuss them. It was an amazing experience. So even thinking about a family book club, or I was thinking even about friends choosing a popular culture graphic novel and then getting together to coming up with their discussion questions. Something like that would be a cool thing to do over the summer months.
Do you know what came to mind? Do you ever read The Diary of the Wimpy Kid?
Yes, absolutely.
There's one of them, and I can't. It might have been Dog Days of Summer. I don't quote me on the actual which one it was, but where Greg Heffley's mom started the Reading is Fun Club with Greg and his friends.
Familiar with that.
It was so funny. So hopefully it goes better
than that one, perhaps.
Than that one in particular. But that was. I love the Diary of a Wimpy Kid books.
Yeah, me too.
But what I'm hearing too is that it doesn't necessarily have to be workbooks, flashcards, this kind of thing. It's trying to weave in these subtle opportunities to just keep that mind working and choose things that you're going to enjoy versus okay, time for the flashcards to come out.
Exactly, and that's what I'm hearing from every teacher that I work with who they're getting their master's in literacy education. When I asked them what they, for their thoughts about the last podcast, it was all keep the joy, keep the enjoyment, keep it fun.
Is there a sweet spot for time each day?
30 minutes, just really, that's kind of the general. But then again, finding those pockets of time to 5 minutes waiting in the drive-through line, or waiting for, my daughter used to wait for hours for her turn to swim. Right, and for the swim meet. So thinking about those moments, and then always packing a book in a pocketbook or a backpack, so that there's always that opportunity.
What's your thought on the educational apps? Screen, I mean, that is screen time. Can those be beneficial?
Oh, absolutely.
Okay.
There's some really great ones out there. There's also a wonderful site called Unite for Literacy that's more for children, and it provides books in many different languages. And so for the children of New Mainers, there are so many opportunities on this one free site.
What about summer camps? This, I'm thinking of my 6, almost 7-year-old will be going to a summer camp where he's gone from 8 to 4 almost every day. They're not reading. But are there benefits to those kinds of things as well?
Yeah, very much so. Think about, literacy is speaking and writing, right? Listening and writing. I left one out.
They do art
listening,
projects,
reading, and writing.
Yeah.
So thinking about that, there's so much literacy involved in those camps as well.
That you don't even realize.
Exactly. Yeah. Thinking about even oral storytelling is so important. Sharing stories with children making up stories and sharing them with other family members.
We're talking a lot about reading, but what about math? Because, it seems like it's very easy to get reading in
Sure.
in sort of those more subtle, fun ways. But what about when it comes to math?
Yeah. There's, I was thinking about that even on the drive in. It's having so many families have garage sales or other things, and thinking about planning that out and how much you might charge for, or what labels you might put on different items. There's a journal on the Maine Parks and Wildlife site where students can keep a journal when they visit the different state parks. So I think there would be a lot of math involved in that particular, keeping a journal, or even helping to plant a garden. There'd be math involved in how big that garden might be, planning it out, thinking about how much things might cost.
Measuring cost, grocery store visits. So it's more just being intentional with thinking about how much we use math in different ways, and maybe talking through it.
And cooking too,
Cooking is
sharing
a good one.
a family, asking if children or adolescents ask a family member to share a recipe that's important, maybe even writing about that recipe, but then trying out that recipe together. There's so much math involved there in cooking.
So weaving it in, again, in those ways that doesn't feel like you're cramming it down their throat, saying, it's time for math.
Right.
Just working it in.
My father, we played an animal counting game that my father called Roadside Whiz, I think it was. It was a silly name. But we would count 20 cows, or a wild animal was 25 points. A black cat sitting on a doorstep was 25 points. So you're using math just in a traveling game. I was also thinking about walking the neighborhood and then drawing a map, because map skills are so important, and encouraging students to create maps, right? Even
That's
a map
kind of
of
fun,
the neighborhood,
though, too,
a map of their house. We use something called blueprinting, where we create a map of a favorite place and then label the different parts of that map, and then use it as a way to inspire writing.
Nice. Well, it seems like there are a lot of ways to incorporate reading and math skills without that sort of, it's time for school. I know it's July 3rd, whatever it might be. But if there was one takeaway for parents as we get into the summer months here, to try to do our best to avoid the summer slide, what would that be?
It would be simply reading or simply writing letters, but reading for enjoyment. Again, finding that special place, maybe if there's a special reading spot in the house or reading outside, that's another really interesting idea.
And there are all kinds of resources which you are going to share with us, and we'll put those on our website as well. So certainly want to encourage everybody to visit wgme.com/raisingme for those resources. Mindy, thank you so much for your expertise as always.
Oh, well, thank you very much. Again, thanks for the opportunity.
You got it. Thank you.
Struggling with weight loss? Prolon's 5-day fasting mimicking diet is a clinically developed nutrition program designed to promote fat loss while protecting lean body mass. Developed at USC's Longevity Institute, it assists the body in entering a fasting-like state that helps reset metabolism and target visceral fat. In just 5 days, Prolon offers a science-backed approach to weight loss without extreme restriction or guesswork. Get 15% off plus a $40 bonus gift when you subscribe at prolonlife.com/now.